If the Texans want to be playing in this weekend, 1 year from now, what exactly are they missing? Welcome into the channel. I'm Cody Stoots. Let's talk some Texans. The AFC and NFC Championship games are upon us. And if the Texans 1 year from now want to be playing in the AFC Championship game, want to be one of the last four teams standing in the race for a Super Bowl, what exactly do they need? So I took a look at the four teams that were left in the playoffs, the Lions and the 49ers over on the NFC side, and then the Ravens and the Chiefs on the AFC side. And I kind of analyzed those teams, what they have, compared them to the Texans, and tried to figure out what the Texans are missing. We know what the Texans have. CJ Stroud's fantastic. The Lions and the 49ers would kick their guy right out of the driver's seat to put CJ Stroud in at quarterback. And it feels like DeMeco Ryans has something special about him with the headset as the head coach. So what are the Texans missing? I identified four things when you look at these teams that the Texans are missing. Let's get into them. Let's start with playmaker depth. Yeah, playmaker depth. As you look around at these teams, they've got option upon option to go out there and make plays. The Texans went into the playoffs with a handful of playmakers, but primarily it was Nico Collins. Yes, Devin Singletary was pretty good, but he's not a big-time home run hitter, big-time playmaker. He's an occasional playmaker. And then Dalton Schultz was actually pretty iffy in the playoffs, had a couple of drops in the playoffs, but Schultz is, again, a part-time playmaker. You look at the 49ers, Ayuk, Kittle, Deebo Samuel, Christian McCaffrey, four dudes that can absolutely change a game in just one play. You look at what the Lions have put together. Jahmyr Gibbs, David Montgomery, Sam Laporta, their rookie tight end, who's already one of the best tight ends in football. Amon-Ra St. Brown. Jameson Williams has big play ability that can just change the game just like that. You think about what the Chiefs are doing. Yeah, not as deep on the playmakers, but Isaiah Pacheco turned into a really nice running back for them. Obviously, Travis Kelce is good, and Rashee Rice has been one of the better rookie pass catchers. And then we just watched the Baltimore Ravens. Running back after running back, they can run out there. Mark Andrews is going to be back for them this week, which adds to the fact that they have Isaiah Likely. Zay Flowers is a really nice player. And then Lamar's legs are a whole nother weapon that you have to account for. So you start thinking about the Texans, and they need playmaker depth. Yes, Tank Dell coming back is going to help that, but I would love to see the Texans add perhaps another wide receiver, a trusty one, or a super talented rookie to kind of fill in behind Nico Collins and Tank Dell. I don't know that there's a playmaker at tight end that is available to the Texans. Even if they brought Schultz back, he's a part-time playmaker. And I look at the free agency class, there's not a big-time playmaker. But if the tight end was, say, the fourth or fifth option, when you start thinking about playmakers, that would go a long way, just moving it down the priority list because Collins is playing well, Tank Dell's playing well, another wide receiver that you've added to the team is playing well. And then the running back position. I'd love to see the Texans invest some more in the running back position. If you want to bring back Devin Singletary, be my guest, but adding to the running back room with maybe a draft pick or some free agents. My favorite so far, when I look at free agency, is Saquon Barkley from the New York Giants. Add to the running back room. Look at Baltimore. They had four different running backs they trusted over the course of the year. J.K. Dobbins, Gus Edwards, Keaton Mitchell, and Justice Hill. Obviously, Christian McCaffrey is a monster for the 49ers. Jahmyr Gibbs and David Montgomery for the Lions, and then Isaiah Pacheco, we mentioned him, for the Chiefs. You've got to have a big-time rushing attack if you want to be playing a year from now. So playmaker depth is what I would like to see the Texans add, and something that they're missing when you look at the four teams still playing. Now, this one is something that the Texans just weren't going to have this year, but let's see what they can put together over the course of the regular season next year, this offseason, and the playoffs that they hopefully are playing in next year, and that's seasoning. Now, first-year head coach, rookie quarterback, a bunch of new faces and a bunch of new places for this team. You weren't going to have a lot of seasoning on this team. But you look at the Lions. It's Jared Goff's third year with the team. Dan Campbell's been there for a few years. Obviously, Kyle Shanahan's one of the locomotives that makes things run in San Francisco. And though Brock Purdy's only in his second year, you see what they can do with the second year of that quarterback and a bunch of really good players that have been there for a few years now. When you look at Samuel and Ayuk and Trent Williams, their left tackle, and a bunch of their standout defenders. So the seasoning is pretty apparent in the NFC. The seasoning is never more apparent than the two teams left in the AFC. The Ravens, the top seed here. John Harbaugh's been around the block a ton, and Lamar Jackson's been there for a very long time and has played in a bunch of playoff games to this point. Not to mention, they've got a bunch of guys that are key pieces of that team that have been there for a few years. And then seasoning is probably best personified by what the Kansas City Chiefs bring to the table. Mahomes and Andy Reid, a dynamic tandem. Some stuff has changed around those two, but they've got some players that have been there through some of the impressive runs, and then they've been able to impart some of that success onto those new pieces that jump on the team. The Texans simply just need time to add seasoning to this equation. Yeah, DeMeco Ryans brings over a little seasoning from San Francisco, but they've got to have time, play games, and get those opportunities to continue to build what they have in Houston. Seasoning is maybe not something they're going to have a year from now, but they'll have more than they did coming into this run-up in the playoffs. So seasoning is what I'm going to add to the list here that the Texans need to be playing this weekend 1 year from now. The next one, they should have this. I think we've all been hoping for them to get this, but offensive line excellence. You look at the four teams remaining, and there's a shaky spot here or there, but in the NFC, to me specifically, man, the Lions have built an absolute monster. 5 bulldozers on that offensive line, highlighted by Penei Sewell, who's probably the best right tackle in all of football. And then Trent Williams leading the pack over there for the 49ers. They've invested a bunch in that 49ers line, and it's finally come to fruition for them, something that I believe we all hope the Texans will have with the investment finally coming to fruition. You look at the Ravens, Tyler Linderbaum's one of the best centers in football. Ronnie Stanley is a trusted veteran who's highly compensated. And then the Chiefs, Creed Humphrey, another young, good center. Trey Smith, one of their guards, a draft pick that they invested in that's come into his own and turned into a really nice player. And they've spent a ton on their tackles and actually haven't gotten a ton of great production from them. Sounds familiar? Okay. Tyus Howard didn't even play right tackle this season for the Texans. But these 4 teams remaining, they are excellent on the offensive line. They can protect their quarterback. They can open up lanes for the running backs. It is a necessary element that the offensive line that the Texans have take a big step forward. I don't know that there's a ton of additions that this team will make to the offensive line, but taking a big step forward on the offensive line would go a long way to making sure the AFC Championship is on the schedule for the Texans next year. And the final thing that I want the Texans to get in this next year that these teams have all done, give me the baseball analogy, throw it up, big swings. All these teams have taken some big swings in recent years and had it really pay off for them. And the Texans already have one big swing under their belt. Will Anderson was a home run. The draft picks worked out great, and Will Anderson, to me, should be the Defensive Rookie of the Year. He won the Pro Football Writers of America Defensive Rookie of the Year. He's been fantastic. That's already one big swing in the books. But you look at the 49ers, big swing after big swing with them. Trent Williams that they traded for. Javon Hargrave that they went and added in free agency when they already had Baby Bosa out on the edge and Eric Armstead paid on that defensive line. So big swings from the 49ers. The Lions took some big hacks, hoping that a running back and a linebacker, a tight end and a safety as their first 4 picks in a draft class would turn out to be big-time players for them right away. Ding, ding, ding. They are. They had a big trade up to go get Jamison Williams a couple of years ago. It hasn't totally paid off for them, but you can kind of see how he's getting going. The Ravens traded for Roquan Smith and re-signed him to a massive contract. And then the Kansas City Chiefs, I mean, they took a sort of a reverse swing. They traded Tyreek Hill and then just tried to figure it out from there, spent some money, spread it around in some different spots on that team, but big swings. Maybe it's a big-time defensive lineman to go opposite Will Anderson. Maybe it's a big-time defensive tackle. There's some of those that are available in free agency. Perhaps it's a trade. The rumors that a variety of veteran wide receivers are unhappy with their situations. Maybe you use some of your draft capital and cap space to go get one of those guys from around the National Football League, but a big swing. Now, they've already taken one and hit a home run with Will Anderson, but take some more. It takes more than one swing to win a baseball game more often than not. It's going to take more than one big swing to find the Texans here in the AFC Championship a year from now. So to recap, the four things when you look at the four teams that are still playing that I believe the Texans are missing, that if they could find them in the next year, they're going to be playing in this weekend in 2025 and hopefully just one game away from that Super Bowl appearance. And heck, if they're playing the AFC Championship game next year, that'll be historic for the franchise. They've never played in that before. So the four things: playmaker depth, seasoning, offensive line excellence, and that fourth and final thing, some big swings. Those are the four things I believe the Texans are missing that they've got to take care of in the next year, and they'll be playing in championship weekend. What do you think they are missing? Let me know in the comment section down below. On your way down to the comment section, throw me a thumbs up on the video. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. So that'll do it for this video. Hope you liked it. Hope you enjoyed it. Appreciate you watching. And I can't wait till we talk Texans again soon.